Delphinium. Forget what block number is. I think it's 8 or 9. It's 9. So I'm going to do it in the alternate colors because obviously I have this one done. And we've got our 4.5-inch square. And then we've got our 4 little 2-inch squares, and they're all going to go in here on points like so. Right? I've got our corners here. That's easy. We just sew these two together and then do the subcuts. Same thing with these corners, 12.5 inches. And here, 5.5 twice. Then we have our 4.5 by 2.5. And once again, those go like so. So I am going to do these first, and I'll subcut, and then I'll show you the center. And yeah, so let's start with all of that. I've got a sewn press. Let's open them. So now we're going to need to trim those down to 4.5 by 2.5-inch squares. So I always start by straightening up my edges, and I align my line with my seam line. And that is going to make for the most accurate pieces to sew with. Because we want to, you know, be as accurate as possibly. So we've got our little subcuts, and we want to make sure that they end up as so on our blocks. We want the greens in the inner corner. Not that it really matters because these are non-directional, so no matter how you put them together, you can put them together correctly. I'm going to show you how I pin them. I like to butt them up right together, and then you can feel when they click in place. And then I just gently throw in my pin, and I just, for accuracy's sakes, throw in these guys. And then I would go and sew those. So those I'm going to set aside to sew. And then the next part, I'm going to start with our center of our flower. We don't need the green part, but we do need the browns. And these we are going to mark kitty corner to kitty corner. I'm going to use my blue marker again. Found this is my favorite way of marking them. Just seems to be that I get the best control over marking and the most accurate. So there we go. So I'm going to sew these guys, and I'm going to sew the opposite corners, because otherwise I'd be sewing on top of my other ones, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to, here's my line. Can't see it on the blue, so here's my line. My paper's not straight, so pretend it is. So this right here is the edge of my line. I want to go a thread, just one thread over to the outside, so that when I go to fold this over, I've got that little extra fabric, so that the fold over part, when we're doubling up on fabric, I can get a pretty tight corner. And that's what I'm going to go and I'm going to do next. So one of the first things I do after I've resewn or unsewn is I press that one seam open just to give it a little more crispness and a little flatness to make that piecing put together easier when I go to sew it. Okay, so let's bring the Boo Boo block over. So here we go, and I want the orientated the correct way. So that's just a simple matter of when you go to sew them, make sure you place them in the direction you want them to be in. And life is a smidge happier, right? So my seams, my former seams are here. So all I did incorrectly was I folded them the wrong way. I folded them and I sewed them on this side, whereas when I folded them, I should have sewn them on this side. So that is a real easy, simple fix. A little bit of unsewing, but I know I will be happier with this result. But that is me. By all means, do what is with you. Maybe you liked that movement, because there was movement. It's just a matter of personal choice. Well, I've been sewing a while, so I know what I do like and what I don't like. And because I have this directional fabric, I've been very careful with it in a lot of my blocks. Not so much with the gingham, the red check and the brown check, but definitely with my stripes. So I'm gonna go sew that and show you the end result. I've got our 4 patches done. Press those open. Some of them are not perfect, but hey, that's okay. So we just want to make sure that the browns are in the outer corners and the greens are in the inner corners. So that all works. It's a 4 patch. It's pretty simple to get that correct. Some people like to open to reduce bulk. So if you're one of those, go ahead and do that, but that's how that goes. That's just a little tweak there. So I've just pressed the first one, I've opened it up, I'm correct. Going for round 2. Guess I should do that more where you can see. Once again, open that up. And now I'm going to have a block that I'm going to be happy with, because all my corner squares are going in the same direction. So I will fix that entirely up and show you the end result at the end of the video. So I decided it'd probably be better if I did it one subcut section at a time instead of driving you crazy and going all over the map like I usually do, because I'm very good at that, I'm afraid. So we've sewn these. Now we're going to trim and we're going to press open so we can go on to the next set. Right, set our seams, and then we'll press them open. And then we'll place our next brown corners, and we'll sew those. Those lines are very faint. I can see them well enough when I've got them in my sewing machine. Another trick is to, if you don't want to pin, because I don't always pin, because this is on the bias, I will not pin this. Just a quick trick is to press, and they're less likely to move and shift on you. And it'll be easier to sew. So I'll finish that up. So I've marked these. And now we're going to work, because I've pressed this open. Well, not quite as nice as I liked. Now we're going to be doing these ones. And I'm going to lay them all out, one on top of each other. I have a very good reason for that, because we want four to be the mirror images of the other. So we're going to want some to open up this way, and we want some to open up this way. So our diagonal lines are from the center to the corner, outside corner. So when you're going to sew that is something you really need to be aware of. I'm going to go and sew those. So we're all sewn up. We're sewn correctly. I've double checked for each and every one. So I just wanted to make you aware that please check before you go and start your trimming. All right, so next we're going to go on to pressing. So we're going to press going one direction. The direction I'm going is I'm making sure my excess fabric is towards the top. And the next go round, I'm going to make sure it's to the bottom. So I'm actually going to flip them over and press from the other side. And the reason is when we go to put them together, one going in one direction, one going on the other, it's nicely going to, once again, butt up against each other and have that perfect little fit there when we go to put them together. got them all sewn up, all my little subunits. And now I'm going to sew them together in the rows. So row 3, 2, and 1. And then I'll show you how to press. Gone and managed to get a little ahead of myself. And I've sewn not only the units together, the rows together, but the units in the row and the rows, all 3 rows all together. I have pressed the top 1 and 3 towards the inside of our kind of chevron pieces here, our center points, and this one's kind of undecided what it wants to do. So when I go to start spray it and add my sashing, I will flip that down because we want, for ease of bulk, we want the less bulk the better. These ones I've gone and I've pressed the square towards the outside 2 pieces, and I do show this very clearly on the directions. And these ones, it's kind of doesn't matter because there's going to be bulk there regardless, but I've gone and I've pressed these to the outsides. So I will trim threads and I will give a better press. I've just pressed with my little iron, and I go and I press with my bigger iron and steam afterwards. And I would said I would show you this one all together when I've got these in the same directional order, and I've gone and I've done that. This one, the pressing is completely different because I've gone and I've added pieces. I've taken them apart and then I've added them on. So it's just all over the map for pressing, and it's going to be what it's going to be. So that is block 9, and block 9 is completely done. So we're good to go.